Thank you, Mr. Deputy Chairman, for the opportunity to speak on the adjournment motion on the performance, or rather the non-performance, of the Ministry of External Affairs. If the mover of the resolution sounded like he was reading out a family tree, the Honourable Deputy Minister who preceded me sounded very much like an air traffic controller, talking about who came and who went, and that he has placed in this House as a record performance of the Ministry of External Affairs. We are happy to note that more than 90% of all these comings and goings have been from the continent of Africa. I believe he is an ardent safari fan himself, and perhaps that explains his interest in Africa. But the issues that confront the country are more serious than that. The Honourable Deputy Minister referred just before he concluded to the resolution concerning Sri Lanka. Although he termed it resolution against Sri Lanka, it's a resolution for promoting accountability and reconciliation in Sri Lanka. He forgets that as soon as the war was over, that same council actually congratulated Sri Lanka for concluding the war. So he is wrong in saying that the present resolution is only because Sri Lanka concluded the war, and that if the war had been ongoing today, that there would not be a resolution. He is totally wrong when he says that. He probably was not the Deputy Minister at that time, I'm not sure, but in 2010, the United Nations Human Rights Council congratulated Sri Lanka, but when Sri Lanka did not keep to the promises given, even at that special session, and thereafter, to the Secretary General of the UN, to various world leaders, that there would be a proper inquiry that will be conducted within the country. It was after several years, in fact, 5 years after the conclusion of the war, that an international investigation came about. Now, after that resolution was passed, still you dragged your feet, and then suddenly you've been involved in a frenetic of activity last month. You have suddenly caused, or you are trying to show, that there is an international element that you are bringing into a local inquiry. A local inquiry which in itself was too little too late, and only with regard to disappearances, has suddenly been given an enlarged mandate. And then 3 international personalities have been invited to advise, if advice is sought by the Commission. Now, in that expanded mandate, you have referred to proportionality, distinction, and collateral damage, all terms in international law. Now, I wish to draw your attention not on the situation here, but on the situation that is happening right now elsewhere in the world, in Gaza, a parallel situation, where these very principles of proportionality, of distinction, of collateral damage have become very important, and daily Many lives are being lost there, many civilian lives are being lost there. And the Ministry of External Affairs remains mute. The Ministry of External Affairs here remains mute because of your own position that you have taken with regard to the situation in Sri Lanka. The people, the civilians in Gaza are being shelled. Children are dying. The other day I saw a news item of the high school results being announced, and the student who has got the highest was already dead. Several children have died. And you who say that you are a friend of the Palestinian people is keeping quiet. You are not able to stand up and say your position with regard to that huge humanitarian catastrophe that is unfolding there. What's the value of your friendship? Now, I want to be very clear here, not to be misunderstood. I'm not saying that Israel does not have a right to exist as a nation. I think they have a right to exist as a nation. But at the same time, the Palestinian people also have a right to have a state of their own. And Gaza being an occupied territory, the people in that region have a right to resist the armed aggression of Israel into that territory. Now, that's a very clear, simple articulation of a principled position with regard to Gaza. Why is the Sri Lankan Ministry of External Affairs unable to even say that? What has your ambassador in Israel said? Air Marshal Donald Pereira. He was in 2010, and this is what he said with regard to Gaza. When the food flotilla was bombed, he justified it. Horrendous performance by your ambassador in Israel. When your own Palitha Kohana was being appointed the chairman of the investigative committee by the UN, Sri Lankan ambassador in Israel said this. He said Sri Lanka is a staunch supporter of Israel's fight against terror. Israel must move on to the military phase with full force. You should fight relentlessly until all the terror hubs are destroyed in Gaza. Now, that is your authenticated ambassador in Israel in 2010. Not only in 2010. What did you do just last month? There was a tweet on the 17th of July 2014 at 16:20 hours. And this is what it said. Sri Lanka calls upon Israeli and Palestinian leaders to display restraint and avoid civilian casualties with political courage to come for peace talks. You said, avoid civilian casualties. Then 13 hours, you corrected the tweet. You corrected the tweet. And signed off as Ministry of External Affairs. It says correction. Violence in Gaza. Sri Lanka calls upon parties to engage at earliest in direct dialogue, which is only viable initiative for sustained peace. You dropped that part about avoiding civilian casualties. Why? Suddenly you realized, oh, how can we throw stones sitting in a glass house? So you changed your tweet, but both tweets are recorded. One is there, calling on parties to avoid civilian casualties, and next one says correction, and you drop your plea to avoid civilian casualties. This is what happens when you don't have a principled position. When you don't act with principles in your own country, you are hamstrung. You don't have a voice. You don't have a credible voice. You don't have a voice that the world will respect. How can you? They'll call. Indeed, you are a. That is why you yourself realize that and you change your tweets, because you yourself realize. How can we call upon those leaders to avoid civilian casualties when we haven't done that? Now suddenly you wake up and you want legal interpretation for proportionality, for distinction, for collateral damage. What is happening in Gaza? Is it proportional? Is there a justification for the nation of Israel to go to war, to use armed aggression on the people of Palestine? Is it justified? Is the force of use proportional to any perceived threat that that country is facing? Even if it faces some threat, even if it justifiably perceives a threat, is it proportional? Is there a distinction as to who a civilian and which is a military target in Gaza at the moment? Absolutely indiscriminate. And you keep mum, you are mute. All of the principles are being breached there, and you don't have the moral courage to say a word. Our position is that there are crimes being committed in Gaza. There are allegations that both sides are committing crimes. Both must be investigated. There must be an international investigation into Israel's armed aggression into the occupied territory of Palestine in Gaza. That must be done. And the accusation that Hamas is acting as a terrorist and harming civilians must also be investigated. When you have serious allegations like that, both must be investigated. One may be totally disproportionate, but that doesn't absolve the other. Similar situation exists here. Both sides must be investigated, is our position. And we are able to today tell you, with regard to Gaza, with regard to Sri Lanka, our position remains the same. Violations of international law must be investigated by whoever it is committed, and parties must be made accountable to it. What have you done with regard to India? Reference was made. It's not just your embarrassing tweets and the correction that you make to it, further exposing yourself. What have you done with regard to the Ministry of Defense website? This website, this is not the first time it has done this. This website is known for publications like this. Your defense is worse than your offense. You apologize and say that that was published without proper authorization. Can anything be published in the official website of the Ministry of Defense without authorization? Is that what you are saying? Is that what you are saying? Is that your defense? You say unconditional apology, and then you proffer an explanation. Somebody has sneaked it in. Somebody has sneaked in a depiction, a cartoon, a story that's of the lowest quality. And aren't you ashamed, Minister of External Affairs, that you are the Minister of External Affairs at a time like this? when a great neighbor is being slandered like that, when the new Prime Minister of that country is being depicted like that, and the closest state of that country to Sri Lanka and the Chief Minister is being depicted like that in the official website of the Ministry of Defence of this country. And we know who the minister is of that ministry. Aren't you ashamed? There is uproar in the Indian Parliament today. What would you have to say today? Your envoy is being summoned. Yeah, what is that?
Expecting international community to do an international investigation in Gaza and Israel. Can you expect that?
Haven't I made it clear to you in my speech? Where were you? You were talking to somebody else.
I was talking to you.
I made it very clear. I made it very clear, my position, that when international law is being violated, there must be an international investigation. Yeah, I can only state my position. Honorable Deputy Minister, you don't need me to speculate. You don't need me to speculate on what will happen and what will not happen. I have stated my position very clearly, and that is a position of principle. That is the same position, same principle position we take with regard to Sri Lanka as with regard to Gaza or anywhere else in the world. If there are serious violations of international crime and there are serious allegations that those have been committed, international investigations must happen against all parties against whom there are allegations. And that is our principal position. The point that I am making to you, the charge that I am making to you, which you are unable to answer, and I wish that your minister will even attempt at the end of this session to answer that, is what is your position with regard to Gaza? Why are you not able to say a word about Gaza today? Why are you speaking with forked tongue? Why is there tweets going saying avoid civilian casualties and then making a correction? When you make a correction and take out avoid civilian casualties, what are you saying? You are saying don't mind civilian casualties. We made a mistake in the first tweet. We don't care about civilian casualties. Isn't that what your ministry has said? It is signed off as Ministry of External Affairs. You asked for my response and you have it now. Are you able to counter that? How can you take a position that civilians can be killed in Gaza? That is the position that you have taken by correcting your own tweet. What have you said with regard when you put on your official website? So you asked me, even before you asked me, I have told you our position. So how many times do you want me to tell you? I'm not one.
Please, Honorable
yes, I will conclude, sir. Honorable Deputy Minister, you are also a lawyer. You're not. Oh, I'm sorry.
Lawyer.
Sorry. I thought you no offense meant. I wouldn't want to speculate on whether one inquiry is going to be proper or not. Same with regard to what you have done here, inviting so-called international experts and so on. We will not pronounce on that. We'll watch and see. We are not about to speculate on anything. But the principles must be clear. And that I have made it very plain and clear. And I expect that your minister will make his position clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.